All right, pretty amazing night. Great energy in the crowd. Thanks to our fans for coming out. That was a fun environment and great to be back in Williams-Brice Stadium with them. What an awesome fireworks show at the end. So thanks to everyone that put that on. That was a great way to finish the spring and awesome fireworks show as well. Before I get started, huge congratulations to Kaylin Anderson and our women's golf team. What a performance today. I was doing exit meetings with our players, so I had 27 individual meetings with players today, but had it on, and in between every meeting, I was glued to the television and had to delay a couple meetings and make sure players had to come in. Players had to come in and wait with me while we watched them as well. But those girls are awesome. Kaylin's a great friend and a fantastic coach, and so happy for them. What a performance today, and what a putt by Louise to win that thing, or essentially win it at the end. So congrats to them, and baseball as well. Congrats to Coach Maneri on the series win over Ole Miss. I feel bad that they lost that I'm at fault for them losing a Friday night home game because we did the spring game at night, and we didn't want to be going at the same time as baseball. But I apologize to Coach Maneri about that back when the spring game was announced, and he was awesome as well, and said, we need to be able to beat Ole Miss, whether it's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 7 o'clock at night, and that's exactly what they did. So congratulations to Coach Maneri and the baseball team as well, and hopefully they can get a sweep tomorrow. And then I know it's a big weekend for Gamecock athletics throughout Columbia, starting tomorrow, also with softball, beach volleyball, I think men's tennis. They won, so encourage our fans. The spring game's over with, so now they got the whole weekend, if they're not traveling, to get out and support our other athletic teams this weekend. But seriously, thanks to Coach Maneri and our baseball team for allowing us to have a night game tonight and them playing earlier as well. Great weather for sure tonight. Congratulations to George Wynn and Team Garnet on their win. You don't think it was competitive? It was competitive. From the draft the other night to the 4:05 a.m. text message I got from Derek Moore this morning telling me that he couldn't sleep because he was so nervous about the game tonight, and he proceeded to send me a text message about this long with his strategy for the game tonight, how he was going to play offense and defense in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, as well. And we had coaches bringing iPads off the sideline to review questionable officiating calls and show me at midfield. It was a lot of fun and a good culmination to a really good spring as well. Saw a lot of young guys get out and make plays tonight. Probably just the most disappointing thing is just how sloppy we were, and we haven't looked like that all spring. So it's almost like we got out here tonight in a stadium and under the lights, and we lost our minds in so many ways. I mean, I just told the team in there, just by my count, we had a false start, we had an offsides, we had a bad snap, we had a drop, we had another false start, we had another false start, we had an illegal formation, we had a delay of game, or we called a timeout to avoid a delay of game. We had another illegal formation. We had a penalty for clapping on defense, which we know is illegal, and we looked like we have never caught a punt in our lives out there tonight. But the good news is that's why you have a spring game and you do it in front of a crowd, so we can hopefully get that out of our system, because I think we have a chance to be a good football team, but we are nowhere near good enough to have that many self-inflicted mistakes, and not even get into the sacks and turnovers, to have that many self-inflicted mistakes and think that we're going to win games. So we've got to get that cleaned up. But again, we've caught punts really well for the most part this spring. We've not had those pre-snap issues like we had, and certainly being in a stadium tonight affected us. But again, that's why you do a spring game, and hopefully that's out of our system, and we'll be better going forward, because there's going to be a lot of lights in Mercedes-Benz Stadium when we play Virginia Tech. There's going to be a lot more people in the crowd when we play Virginia Tech, and it's going to be a lot more intense when we play Virginia Tech in 133 days from now. So we got a lot of work to do from that standpoint, but overall pleased with the spring, and we got better. like the young talent. A lot of those guys flashed tonight and made plays, and we got out of the game injury-free, so pleased about that. This week, our guys are still in class this week, so we'll be able to do a little bit of football work this week with our guys on Tuesday and Thursday, kind of get back out on the field, not practicing, but just being able to get back out on the field and review some things, maybe install some things that we didn't get to during spring practice. But to be back out on the field with our guys, and then classes end and exams start, and they'll have a little bit of time off in May, and then they'll be back here on Memorial Day, team meeting on that Monday night, and then we start summer school the very next day. But we got a chance to have a good team. We're on the right track. We made progress this spring and have to get a lot better this summer, but pleased with where we are right now. Questions? You giving David the first one after he missed the other day? Did we get a – all right.
Shane, a couple for you. One, Mazio and Casey and Henry didn't play. What's the deal there?
Mazio wanted to. He practiced yesterday, David. We did a little, or not little. We did a one-on-one period with the receivers and the defensive backs down in the red zone, and he was running a fade route and kind of tweaked his leg a little bit. He really wanted to go. He was mad that he couldn't, and that's why he did not. Kaysen's fine. Kaysen hasn't practiced the last week or so, just kind of nursing a lower body injury, but he'll be fine.
And Cutter Woods, had a couple of long passes there on that touchdown drive. Just how do you think he looked and, kind of handled the moment as a freshman?
Yeah, Cutter is a certain guys, when the lights come on, they just elevate their games, and that's Cutter Woods. He's a winner. You go back to what he did in high school at West Side, and I remember watching him play in the state championship game against South Florence in 2023 when he won it, and some of the plays he made in that game, you're like, wow. And that's just he's got a chance to be a really good player. He's had a really good spring for us. I go back to some of the team stuff we do in the offseason and just watching him in our team wiffle ball tournament. You just see him in that, like his ability to hit, his ability to pitch in wiffle ball. He's got something about him. There's no question about it. Certainly there's plays he'd like to have back tonight, but he's got a chance to be a really good player, and he just enjoys being out there. He's always got a smile on his face, and I remember I was telling somebody last week, for about 20 plays, we made the quarterbacks live in our scrimmage last week where they could be tackled, and here's a guy fresh out of high school going against an SEC defense, knowing he's about to get hit by Dylan Stewart and these guys, and he's just out there smiling and having the time of his life last week. So he has fun playing the game and excited about his progress this spring and all those quarterbacks as well.
Sticking on the quarterbacks, there's times where it's kind of tough to tell what Luke Doty is going to be doing on a year-to-year, month-to-month basis. Is he really vying for that backup quarterback job right now?
Absolutely.
What did you like from his performance tonight? And what we saw tonight, is that what he's been doing all spring?
Yeah, Luke's had a really good spring. He's just a really good football player. He's a great teammate. He's a great leader. He makes our team better, whether he's playing receiver, whether he's playing special teams, whether he's playing quarterback. He makes us better, and I'm glad he came back. Here's a guy that he wants to be a Gamecock, and never hesitated. He wanted to come back, and he's just having a lot of fun. He and I talked about it today. He's having fun, and he knows this is kind of his last go round, and he brings a confidence to the team. I mean, even yesterday we had a little period where he's out there, like literally in the middle of the play while the play is going on. He's talking junk to the defense, like literally while the play is happening. And he's just got that. He's a high energy guy, but he can make plays. He's athletic. He's improving as a passer. He knows he's got to improve there, but he can get himself out of trouble. And he's an athlete. And he can create, and most importantly, he has experience, and the rest of that quarterback room is young. Dante Reno is in his second year in college. Aaron Nolan's in his first year in college, counting his semester at Ohio State. Cutter Woods is in his first semester in college. Jimmy Francis is in his first or second year in college. Luke's in his 7th, 6th. Not his first as well, but he's kind of the old guy, but he brings a quiet, confident, or not quiet, he brings a loud confidence to the team, and kind of excited to see what the next step is for him.
You mentioned some of the young guys. What about the receivers tonight? Brian Rowe had a couple big moments. Malik Clark, some big catches tonight.
Same thing with those guys that I said about Cutter. There's some guys that just, elevate their games, and those receivers, I know a lot has been elevate their games and when the lights come on, and I think those receivers are certainly one of them. They've really had a nice spring. Coach Mike Furry's done a great job with those guys, and they just continue to get better. Lenoris and I were talking about it this morning. You think about it, so many of our receivers weren't even here for spring practice last year, meaning the ones we played with. Dale Vaughn Campbell didn't get here till the summertime. Nick Carver was running track. Dre Jacobs didn't get here until the summertime. So the fact that he's got all these receivers here, except for Donovan Murph, were here for spring practice. Those receivers certainly went through some growing pains, but they got better, and they have a confidence about them. That was a big time play that both those guys made as well, and they've been making plays like that all spring. So we're excited about that group, and our receiver position. There's more talent in that room right now than there's ever been in my time here at Carolina, and that freshman class is impressive, and really not just the receiving core freshman class, but the entire freshman class. I mean, you just go from offense to defense. The young guys we have, I mean, they've had really good springs. Shed Surratt got an award tonight for being the newcomer of the spring. Anthony Addison on defense easily could have been that guy on defense. We gave it to Brandon Cisse as a transfer, but all these freshmen, there's a maturity about them, and they love to compete. And I think you see it sometimes in recruiting. Sometimes there's recruits that are hesitant to go to a school like, oh my God, like, You signed 1 or 2 or 3 receivers. We signed 6 last year, and not a single one of those guys said, oh, man, you signed 5 other receivers. I'm going to go somewhere else. They all said, great, let's go compete, and may the best man come out of this thing, and that's refreshing to see. Sometimes you see that in recruiting where recruits tell you, you got a lot of receivers in that room, coach, or you got a lot of DBs in that room, coach. I really like it, but I'm going to go somewhere else, and those guys didn't. They're like, great. More the better, and let's go compete. And they've made each other better, and they've made the other players in their room, the returning guys, the other returning receivers, the older guys on the defensive line, the older guys in the secondary, all those freshmen that we've brought in have made the older guys better with the way that they've embraced competition here at Carolina.
Be remiss if I didn't ask you about the first play from scrimmage.
Unbelievable.
I mean, I personally thought it was very well drawn up. But
yeah.
A, what was your faith in the play when I presented it to you? And B, how would you say your guys executed a play knowing they've only knowing it for about, 12 hours?
Not only not knowing it, but pretty sure they never practiced it. So it goes to show that practice is overrated. I saw your play last night, and I sent it to Mike Shula when I got home from the radio show and just said, sorry, man. You got to put this in, and unfortunately, you're probably going to have to run it like the first play of the game. And I don't know what happened after that, because I came in early this morning, and starting at 7 a.m., I started meeting with players individually. So I had individual meetings with players from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. every 15 minutes. And then starting at 3:15, I started meeting with recruits in my office. So I never talked to Mike throughout the day or anyone on the offense. And then I had to go to Norris right before the first play to find out what we're calling this play and making sure they knew how to run it, and they did it. So I think it might have been one of our longest gains of the night, because that's the other thing. Looking at this, there's a lot of punts on this thing, keeping track of drives, but that was an explosive play. Keep them coming.
You just mentioned there were a lot of punts tonight. Mason obviously kicked a ton tonight. I know you mentioned the other day the idea of him doing the kicking, the punting, the holding. It's doable in your eyes. After what you saw out of him tonight, I know it's a spring game and the season still has a long way to go, but do you feel more confident in the idea of him doing that?
Yeah. 13 punts or whatever it is on the stat sheet wasn't ideal for sure. No, I do. He's a guy, he's been around Jack. He's been in the program for a year now. He was behind, worked with Kai and Alex and our other specialists last year. And it was good to see him tonight make a field goal, have some nice punts, but I called them all out to, get the team around them and try and create some pressure situations. He answered the call on that one. It's doable. I wish I felt a little bit better about, all of our specialists coming out of spring practice than I do. And the fact of the matter is we're going to have a new holder, we're going to have a new kicker, we're going to have a new punter, we're going to have a new snapper, we're going to have a new punt returner, and we're going to have a new kickoff returner. And that's concerning. And tonight didn't help in some ways as well. They're going to be fine as we go through the summer, but certainly got to get that cleaned up. But in regards to your question about Mason, I think it's doable. And I know I told you it's not ideal, and it's not. I kind of wish you had one kicker, one punter, but we've done it in the past, and we'll do what's best for the team. But we'll always be looking to see how we can, if there's other ways to. You want other guys to continue to come along too. So that competition in that room is stiff, and they're still competing throughout as we come out of spring.
You hit on some of the sacks in your opening statement, but what was your overall assessment of your defensive line tonight, and any individuals stand out to you there?
I thought they were good. Hard to tell. I mean, like I said, when we did the draft, it was so broke up. You had guys, kind of everywhere, and it was basically a 3-man rotation at defensive end on both teams and a 3-man rotation at defensive tackle on both teams. So those guys were rolling out of there pretty consistently, and hard to say without watching the tape. I thought they, flashed at times, and Anthony Addison is a young guy that's can be a problem for offensives because he's got great twitch and get off, and I know he drew he drew one holding penalty tonight on that last drive, and probably should have drawn another one. I noticed him a little bit, but overall those guys have had a good spring. Obviously, you lose 4 defensive tackles in Boogie, Tonka, TJ, and Jules. Those are 4 big losses, and that's a position that everybody's looking at. But I do feel better about that defensive tackle position coming out of spring than what I did going into it. I feel like Rondo Porter and Nick Barrett and Gabe and Monkel Goodwin's had a really good spring. Those guys have all done some nice things.
Another position with a lot of competition is the running back room. How would you assess Attaway, Fuller, and all the other running backs that performed today?
Yeah, seeing who all got carries, Hal, Faison, the Kraken, Fuller, Neil Salvage, Oscar Attaway, they all did some good things. Right now coming out of spring, if you said, okay, who's your top 5, it's a combination of Oscar Attaway, Jawarn Hal, Matthew Fuller, Sewell, and Bradley Dunn. Those are kind of our top 5 coming out of spring practice, and we'll see how the summer, shakes out. They've all done some good things. They all need to have a big summer. I noticed Matthew Fuller tonight. Matt's going to be a good player for us. He's a load, and when people try and tackle him, it feels and looks different the way he's able to move the pile. For sure, and whatnot. But those guys are making each other better. Going back to the whole competition thing, that room is extremely competitive, and we're really just kind of looking for one guy to just seize this thing and say, I'm going to be the guy. And they've all flashed, but we just need to see that more consistently as we go through the summer.
Just one more quick one for a guy that didn't play tonight. Jalen Kilgore wasn't out there. What's the update on him?
He's fine. That's another one. He has a little bit of a lower body injury. If we had played a game, he probably would have been fine, but he wanted to, but just kind of said, you know what, I don't want to go into the summer and tweak a lower leg injury or lower body injury anymore. We know what Jalen can do, and it gives those other nickels, Zabari Sandy, Jaquel Holman, and Jackson Berger. Those were the 3 nickels tonight, and it gave them an opportunity to really play, which all 3 of those guys needed to.
Are there any updates on some of the other guys who have maybe missed some time in the spring, guys like Nick Sharp, Jalen Brown, guys like that?
Not really. Nick will be Nick will be fine. Just wasn't able to finish the spring. Jalen Brown, we'll see as we, come out of spring and into the summer what his status is, and everyone else other than, I know I mentioned it last night on the radio show, Ryan Brubaker would be the only one really that's, I'd say, is going to be doubtful for the, entire season. And we'll see how Jalen progresses going into the summer.
Yeah, you mentioned Brendan Cisse being the newcomer of the year on defense and
special teams.
And special teams. I mean, talk a little bit about what he's kind of brought to this secondary that is losing a couple guys to the draft, and as somebody with that experience in that secondary, what he's kind of brought this spring.
Yeah, he's brought just a good mindset to that room. He's just a really good football player. He loves the game. He is. He's a football junkie. He really is. He just loves the game, and I'm always getting text messages from him about the best DBs I've been around, or tell me about this DB that you coach, what made him great, or I'll get a text message early in the morning that he's watching some NFL DB and asking questions about him. He loves the game, and he's passionate about being great, and he can run. He's one of the fastest players on our team. He's really attacked the weight room and gotten stronger in his time here. He's got position flexibility. Right now he's at corner, but he could play nickel if we needed him to. He's got a burst. He's physical. He's good on special teams. He's just, a mature guy that's kind of got a pro mentality in everything that he does.
Last question goes to Dick Cox.
I know you had the offensive line divided up, but how do you feel about the offensive line coming out of spring?
I feel good. We have more depth there than we've had. We just kind of said, all right, not draw them out of a hat, but let's just get 7 on both sides, 7 on the Garnet, 7 on the Black, and make sure we got enough tackles, and we got 5 starters and 2 backups, and just mix it up as well. And coming out of the spring, you would say, here's a depth chart little nugget for you. You'd say that Boaz Stanley coming out of spring would probably be the starting center for us, but we had him on the team that Lenoris wasn't on tonight. So Lenoris had to get some work with Rodney Newsome in there tonight. So tonight was a little bit of a, not patchwork, but getting some guys in some different spots with different groups, because you need to develop that continuity with everybody up there. But I like the progress they've made. Like Shed Surratt was the newcomer of the year. He's going to be a really good player for us. I mean, he's a freshman that's come in and has been really good from the time he got here. And then you've got guys like Marquis and Tro and Tree that have been around here for year 3 now. And Tree and Tro were starters 2 years ago. So you got guys with experience. And then Josiah's in year 2. Kaysen, Tavies had a really good spring. Boaz and Rodney coming in. Nick was doing some good things before he got hurt as well. So overall, pleased with that group, and that's a position that I'm excited about just because of the athleticism. But the month of May and the summer was critical for our offensive line last year, and it's going to be critical for our offensive line this year as those guys just continue to gel and come together as well.
Thank you, Coach.
No questions for Hale? What do you have one? That's a veteran, Steve. Nothing?
What did you not talk about?
I think that's it. I think we hit it all. We talked women's golf. We talked baseball. We talked beach volleyball. We talked tennis. We talked men's tennis. We talked the fireworks show. We talked sloppiness. We talked special team stuff, injuries. We got that in. Little depth chart. No, I said that we did not. Pleased with all those guys. They've all flashed, and they're all trending in the right direction as well, is what we said. So you guys, we've got the Gamecock Club circuit starting next week, so expect to see a lot of you guys in Florence. Monday night, I think we're going over there. See you Monday, and then we got quite a few more in May. So if you haven't hit the Welcome Home Gamecock Club tour circuit in the past, you're missing out. So hope to see you guys throughout the month of May, starting Monday night as well. Thank you, guys.